Hello, this is Alok again. This video is fourth in the series of videos to demonstrate how Funnel Story can be used to manage your product trials. In this specific video, I will focus on prioritizing trial accounts based on the revenue signals. So before we get started, we have to understand the following. There are two types of revenue signals. First types are indicative of major change of patterns in account activities. Let's take an example, or there are many examples, like what you see on your screen right now. User growth, sudden spurt in number of users signing up, number of support tickets getting filed, number of conversations that are happening, the change in tonality of conversations from positive to negative, negative to positive, change in engagement. An account was daily active, it turned into weekly active, or turned to monthly active, or monthly active account turned into daily active, or just turned inactive. All of these changes are change of patterns in the behavior of accounts. They may be directly based on a single activity, or they may be based on multiple activities, just like engagement. Then there are second types of revenue signals that we can call it as calculated signals. So we have two major types. One is health tags. Health tags are opportunity evaluation done by Funnel Story. So there can be a risk assessment or an opportunity assessment, or nothing at all for a given account. And this is done automatically by Funnel Story. Then there is another type, which is you have already read about it, or we have already discussed about in our demos. That's about when an account changes or moves from one stage in the funnel to another stage. So if an account moves from acquisition to activation, Funnel Story will generate a signal that there has been a state change, and you can capture that signal and you can do something about it. Right. So those are the high level definitions of revenue signals. Now we will look inside the Funnel Story product on how to understand them, and in some cases how you can configure health tags based on your own definitions. So let's go inside the product. Okay, so where do we see some of these signals? So some of these signals are already available in the accounts view. So for every account, you can see that there is a sentiment. This sentiment is the last change that was observed in the tone of conversation. So for example, let's look at this. So you can see that some of the accounts have negative conversation, which means prior to that, they might be neutral or positive or something. So whenever that sentiment would have changed, these signals would have got generated. Similarly, we have a lot of tickets. So whenever the tickets have been filed, we would have, or there would have been a spurt by almost, I think, 10%. At that point of the support ticket signal would have got generated. So same way, a tonality of support tickets, which here is listed as positive, whenever it would have changed from neutral to positive, a signal would have got generated. So those things that I talked about are the signals based on how individual activities are doing. Then we have a very specific signal called product engagement. So if you look at this, this is the trend of this account in terms of engagement. It has been active, inactive to active to less active. And if we look at this, we can see that a lot of signaling has been happening in last 24 hours. Support sentiment changed from neutral to positive. Conversation sentiment changed from neutral to negative. Product engagement, we were just talking about, changed from monthly active, and we can see this, it became more active, to daily active since Thursday, November 23rd. So not only Funnel Story is observing activity, but it is also observing the change in patterns of the activities. And based on that, it automatically is generated the signals, and those signals are available. If you want to read them here, you can get them messaged through a Slack or an email into your Slack and email accounts individually, or you can come here. There is a notification in which all these signals are communicated based on whenever they happen. Right. So now we have one signal which we have not talked about, which is the risk. So you can see that there is something called health tag, and this is automatically assigned to an account based on its current state. So if you look at this, it is assigned as opportunity, right? And it's just telling you why this tag, so it gives you an equation. But let's look at what is the default configuration. So these are the three health tags available: opportunity, caution, and risk. And there is a default definition that is used in Funnel Story to automatically tag every account with either opportunity or caution or risk. It is possible for any organization to define their own signals, but we generally recommend to use the default signals so that they can make the best usage of this product. Right. In the final part, I want to focus on what you can do with these signals. So, of course, you can understand in the product what is the current state of this account, and there is something important happening. And especially if you are a salesperson, you can react to some of these accounts, classify some of these accounts based on the signals they have generated, and you can react into the account to take steps. If the support sentiment is turning negative, you might want to talk to the support team, what's happening there. If the chat sentiment is turning negative, you might want to talk to, again, the customer success teams or the sales engineer to understand what went wrong, why, or what went right, what is happening either ways. But you can take also automated action. So how you can do is, let's go back, and if you, let's say, create a new workflow. So what you can do is you can write signal-based workflow. So for example, you can say that if some signal happens, for example, let's say funnel state change, and it is happening on an account which has, let's say, more than 5 users. So something like that happens, then we can send an email to a user in an account. So rather than sending to all users, we will send it to only tagged user, which means there are no tagged user in this account, no problems. Right now we will use all users. So you can send an email to all users. So saying, maybe you can say that your account has been doing great. You have more than 5 users and you have made progress, and I want to congratulate you. Great, you can do that. So it's just one example of what you can do. There are a lot of things you can do with the concept of signals. Good. So this is the whole notion of revenue signals and what you can do with that. Thanks for watching this, and we'll see you in the next demo.